Hello, konnichiwa, marhaba. If we haven't met before, I'm Speedo and welcome to my channel. Today, I will answer the question, should you buy Ghost of Tsushima? I will discuss what is great about the game, what is terrible about the game, and then tell you whether you should buy the game or not. There are timestamps in the video description so you can use them for your convenience. If you constantly need help with purchasing decisions in the gaming world and you want to hear me talk about other gaming related stuff, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So the first great thing about the game is the setting. It is one of the most unique settings I have ever seen in a video game. It is set in the late 13th century in Tsushima Island, Japan. The open world has a stunning, beautiful scenery, amazing details, and there is a lot to discover other than the main story. So the setting is so good that it really makes you feel like you're living in 13th century Japan. I can't imagine the amount of research that was done to get this level of detail in the game. Another great thing about the game is the combat, and there is a lot to talk about here, and it is definitely the highlight of the game. The combat is not about mashing buttons, it is about attacking in the right moment in the right time. So you have to be a bit patient when you're attacking enemies. If you're the type of person who is mindless when attacking enemies and not thinking of blocking, evading, or timing your attacks, then this game is not for you, even if you play the game on the lowest difficulty. There are 4 different fighting styles that you can unlock throughout the game. The game calls them stances. Each fighting style or stance has its own use depending on the enemy you're fighting. When you are in the middle of a fight, the game will let you know which fighting style to use against the enemy you're fighting. So you will not be lost or feel overwhelmed by the different stances. After playing the game for a while, I found myself automatically switching between stances. So this is something you will get used to automatically after playing the game for a while. You don't necessarily need to change the fighting style with each enemy you fight, and you can simply stick with one fighting style that you like, but it will be less effective. I don't know how accurate the stance system is when compared to real life, but I can see the amount of effort that was put into crafting this combat system. Another great thing about the game is the story. The story is amazing. The theme of the story revolves around the idea of samurai honor and respect. So if you don't know what honor really means, this story will teach you exactly what honor is really about. Although I love the story, there are still some things that I did not like, and I will be covering them later on. That does not mean the story is bad, it's just not perfect. Another great thing about the game is the side missions. The side missions are amazing. I am actually surprised and amazed by how detailed are these side missions. And in fact, some of the side missions are even better than the main story. That is how good the side missions are. I would not be surprised if the developers spent more time into making these side missions than they spent on making the main story, because the side missions are too good. Another good thing about the game is the music. The music is awesome. There's an expression that I use when I talk about music, and that expression is, it goes into your soul. So if I say that a song goes into your soul, that means that the song is awesome. And this game has awesome music that goes deeply into your soul. These were the main points when talking about what is great about the game, but I want to talk about some little details that I loved while playing the game. The first thing that I liked is that when you are told to follow an NPC and you start running, the NPC starts running as well. So you're not stuck with the speed that the NPC is moving at. The second thing I liked is that when your health goes to 0 and you simply die, you will have to be executed before you restart from the last checkpoint. So you just sit there and watch yourself get killed. The third thing that I liked is that they used the touchpad on the PS4 controller in a very innovative way. You know, the useless touchpad that is in the PS4 and the PS5 controller? It is actually useful in this game. And you can swipe up, down, left, and right to toggle different things. I owned a PS4 since 2014, and I can guarantee you that this is the first time that I've seen the touchpad being used in a good way. The fourth thing that I liked is that you can play the game in black and white, and the game calls it Kurosawa mode. This is good if you want to feel like you're watching a Japanese film from the 19th century, and if you really want to immerse yourself, you can set the game language to Japanese and enable this mode, and you will suddenly travel to the 1800s. The last amazing detail is that once you finish the game and you really want to enjoy the story again, you can play the game again using New Game Plus, where you can keep all the gear from the first playthrough. In addition, there are some new gear that are only unique to New Game Plus. This is all I have in terms of great things about the game. I believe that there are a lot of great things, but these are the main points. Now let's talk about what is terrible about this game. It is important to mention that these are not deal breakers, they're just little annoyances that you will encounter while you're playing the game. And the biggest annoyance that you will encounter is the cutscenes. There is a lot wrong with the cutscenes in this game. The first bad thing about the cutscenes is the lip syncing. The lip syncing is not just bad, it is non-existent. It's like the developers got extremely lazy and simply simulated random mouth movement and simply just insert the voiceover on top of the random mouth movement. This really ruins the immersion and makes you feel that you're playing a low-budget game, which is something I did not expect, considering that this is a PlayStation exclusive game. The problem is not only with the lip syncing, but I think there is a problem with the entire motion capture. You can't tell if the character is happy, sad, or angry just by looking at their face. But you can hear what they're saying and how they're saying it, so you can still understand their emotions, but the emotion that they portray does not explain how they're feeling. I saw a comment the other day on YouTube that says the lack of emotion in this game is because a true samurai never reveals his true emotions, which is just hilarious. The second problem with the cutscenes is that a lot of cutscenes don't tell any story. They're just there for exposition. There are a lot of cutscenes where the characters are just like, we are here to do this. Let's get this over with. Let's attack them. Let's kill them, you know? And this gets really boring and annoying. And when this happens, I just find myself looking at my phone, or I just take off the headphones when these cutscenes are playing. The third problem with the cutscenes is that a lot of cutscenes are not cinematic cutscenes. The cutscenes are more like dialogue cutscenes, if you even call them cutscenes. You know, the type where the camera is zoomed into the character's face and it keeps going back and forth between them? Yeah, most of the quote-unquote cutscenes are like that in this game. It is important to mention that the cinematic cutscenes are really amazing and immersive, but as I said, a huge percentage of the cutscenes are not cinematic cutscenes. They're just dialogue. The last problem I have with cutscenes is the biggest problem. None of what I said would have been a huge deal if you can simply skip the cutscenes. I have played a lot of story-driven games, and usually these games have their share of unskippable cutscenes. But you can still skip some of them, especially if it is a side missions or if it is a dialogue. In this game, you cannot skip anything, which gets really annoying. I am currently playing The Last of Us Part 2, which is a story-driven game, and it has way better cutscenes than this game. But I can still skip the cutscenes. I don't know what the developers were thinking, but they should have made the cutscenes, or at least some of the cutscenes, to be able to be skipped. As I said, the biggest problem in the game is the cutscenes, but I still have some other little annoyances that I still want to talk about. Number one, the stealth is so stupid. You can kill people right next to each other and nothing will happen. It really breaks the immersion, and the game has a lot of these stealth missions, so it's something that you will encounter a lot. Number two is when you're fighting in a big area, you have no freaking idea where the remaining enemies are. So you have to manually look for the remaining enemies. There is a mechanic that makes your character call the remaining enemies as a challenge, but this doesn't work all the time and you don't have an option to enable this. Number three is the objective marker. The objective marker is so awful. This is important because you will depend on the objective marker for the entire game. The problem with the objective marker is that it disappears at random a lot of the time, and you find yourself not knowing where the hell you're supposed to go. The fourth and last thing is that the medium difficulty is too difficult. I am not the best gamer in the world, but I play a lot of games that I can easily tell if the game is too difficult, and this game is one of them. When comparing this game to other games that I've played, if you play Ghost of Tsushima in the easy difficulty, this is very similar as if you are playing another game in medium difficulty. So keep that in mind if you're planning on playing this game. You can change the difficulty in the middle of your playthrough, so that's great. So with that said, I have pretty much covered the list of the great and the terrible. Everything else is pretty solid, I would say. So in summary, the game offers unique atmosphere, amazing combat system, intriguing story, well-crafted side missions, and music that goes into your soul. There are little annoyances like the bad cutscenes and the stupid stealth mechanics, but it doesn't make the game unplayable. So with this summary in mind, let's go back to the question, should you buy Ghost of Tsushima? I think the answer is very clear, and the answer is yes. You should buy Ghost of Tsushima. It's a great game.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Try to get the game used or at a discount because it is more than 6 months old at this point. There are some things that I might have not covered in more detail because I don't want this video to be an hour long. It is also important to note that this is 100% based on my opinion. That is why I would like to know in the comments if you agree or disagree with what I said, or you might even have more points that you would like to add. I read every single comments you guys leave, especially the long essays that some people leave. If you're not the type of guy who leaves comments, click on one of the videos on the screen right now. If you're interested in some merch, you can visit my store, linked in the description. I also have a Patreon if you want to support the channel, link also in the description. So until next time, peace.